Vocabulary is one of the most misunderstood portions of the SAT, and you need to know how to do it without memorizing 1,000 or 2,000 words. In this video, I'm going to show you the vocabulary that you need to know and a process for figuring out the word if you don't know what it means. By the end of this video, you should be getting significantly more words and context questions correct, and you'll have an actual system for recognizing if the word is correct even if you don't know what they mean. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Before we begin, I need to break a common belief that I see hundreds of students say to me, and I've tutored like 300 students to preface here, so I kind of know ball. They think that they're only bad at vocab because they don't know what the words are. I don't know this word, I don't know this word. I can tell you as a matter of fact, 99% of you guys watching the video, that is not the reason as to why you're getting vocab questions wrong. The reason why you're getting vocab questions wrong is that you do not understand what the text is saying. You don't know what word will go in the blank. So obviously, it doesn't matter what words you know. You're just going to get it wrong if you don't understand the text. This is just rap. You need to master rap to actually be good at vocab. In fact, rap, if you haven't watched my video yet, is so much more important on vocab than a lot of other things. You need to understand the process of predicting the word in the blank, because if you don't understand the process, you will never be good at vocabulary. It doesn't matter how many words you know. You need to be good at reading comprehension. You need to be good at predicting the word that will fit in the blank using reading comprehension and context clues. So let's get into that. This is you. You need to master rap and be able to predict the answer, but how do we even do that? I'm going to show you right now. Your whole entire goal on vocab is to predict a word that will go in the blank. Obviously, you're not going to predict the exact word most of the time, but you will get a synonym, because if you can predict a synonym in the blank, then you will find a word that has the same meaning, and then that's it. Okay, so this is the biggest and most important part of vocab. If you can't do this, you will get every vocab question wrong. So make sure you understand how to predict and comprehend the text. So let's do it. This one says, according to a team of neuroeconomists from this place, ease of decision making might be linked to communication between two brain regions. Okay, so you have the scientists, and decision making might be linked to these two brain spots. Okay, the prefrontal and the parietal cortex. And individuals tend to be more decisive if the information flow between the two is intensified. Let's stop. So you're more decisive if information flows between one side of your brain and the other, basically. That's what I'm thinking. Whereas they make choices more slowly when the information flow is blank. So we have a very crucial word here. It says whereas. So this is a contradiction word. So you're more decisive if the information flow is intensified or increased. So the flow is intensified, and then it causes you to be more decisive, right? On the other hand, they make choices more slowly when the information flow is blank. So the information flow in the first section is intensified, and then it contradicts. It says whereas. So therefore, you want a word that means the opposite of intensified. So you want a word that probably means something to do with like reduced or gone down. Because it says this thing happens when it's intensified, whereas they do this other thing when the flow is contradicting word, right? So contradicted the previous section. Therefore, we're doing the opposite of intensified, reduced, or gone down. Great. So let me get the options. Okay, you might think I looked at the answer beforehand. I promise I didn't. I just grabbed this from the question bank. The answer is obviously A, because I predicted it. This is not going to happen every time. You're not going to predict the word every single time, but if it's a pretty simple question like this, you might, because the words are pretty easy. So reduce is a pretty easy prediction here. It's not really that crazy. Let me show you the same process on a much harder question. All right, I did this one on my blueprint call about a month ago, and everyone freaked out about it. Everyone had a rough time. So let's break it down slowly. It says, rejecting the premise that this magazine should present a unified vision of Black American identity. Okay, stop here. So this guy rejected unification. He rejected unity. This guy, Johnson, fostered his contributors' diverse perspectives by promoting their authorial autonomy. Stop here. So this Charles guy said that he does not want to present a unified vision. He does not want just one vision. He wants to foster diverse perspectives by promoting their authorial autonomy. This means they can all do their own thing. So he is fostering their perspectives by letting them all chime in. They're all putting their opinions in. He does not want a unified vision. Perfect. Now, Johnson's self-effacement diverged from the editorial stances of these two people whose decisions for their publications were more blank. So Johnson likes diversity, okay? Johnson equals, if you need to write this down in the SAT, you can. It takes an extra 3 seconds. You can do it if you want to. So Johnson likes diversity. He does not want unification. He does not want one vision. Now, his self-effacement diverged from these two people who were more blank. So if he's diverging from them, he's the opposite. He's going the opposite direction. And their decisions are probably more of the opposite of what he has. So what he likes is diversity, which means these people probably like the opposite. They probably like this unification thing because this Johnson guy does not like it. And these people are the opposite. So they like unification. They like unity. They were more, I would say, I don't know, unified or something to do with like, I don't know, all the same, right? This is my prediction. My webcam is covering it. There you go. Unified, all the same. Perfect. That is my prediction. Now we're going to get the options. Okay, we've got a few difficult words here. Let's start off with the easiest ones. It says proficient. So most of you probably know what this word means. Proficient means you're good at something. But how could I figure out the meaning of this word if I didn't know what it meant? So proficiency exams, that's a pretty common thing. It measures your proficiency at something. It measures how good you are at something. So if you're proficient, you're going to be good at something. Another way is pro. Pro is something that is positive or good or yeah, that's pretty much it. So proficiency is something to do with that. Probably not something to do with unification or being all the same. So kind of just an irrelevant rude word here. Therefore, it's probably not going to be A. So we can cross that out. Unpretentious. Pretentious is a pretty common word. Pretentious means you are egotistical a little bit. You're kind of condescending maybe. So pretty irrelevant to being unified or all the same. So it's probably not going to be D. Un is just the opposite, so not pretentious. So someone who's humble pretty much. So it's not going to be D here. Ambiguous is a very common word as well, especially in the SAT. By the way, all these words are very good if you want to memorize them. I think it's fine. You don't want to memorize too many, which I'll get into later in the video. But ambiguous is something that is hard to understand. It is up to interpretation. So this is kind of irrelevant to being unified. It's not going to be C here. Therefore, it is B. You don't have to know what B means at all. You can just pick it and you know you're right because it's not A, C, or D. But dogmatic is like one vision, like all combined or one stance pretty much. So that's about it. Now, as you may have noticed, dogmatic is clearly and far ahead the hardest word out of the four here. The other three are pretty easy words. But even if you don't know what B means, you can still get it right because you eliminate the incorrect words that you do know. So yeah, that's about it. Now, little nuance. If you are a non-native English speaker, you will have a much, much more difficult time on vocab because these words are not common in your language because they're obviously not. Your language is obviously not English. So you're going to have a harder time. But most English speakers are going to know most of these words. Yeah, that's my stance there. Let's do another example. All right, we've got another hard one. Let's get into it. It says, new and interesting research conducted by these people is inspired by their observation that though there have been many studies of the effect of high altitude on blood chemistry, stop. So this research by these people is inspired by the fact that there have been many studies of the effect of this thing happening. So there's many studies of this thing happening. But there's a blank studies of the effect of blood chemistry of living in locations below sea level. Now, keep in mind, you have a contradiction word. You have a transition word here. It's though. Though there have been many studies of this, there is a blank studies of this. So clearly, the blank is going to be a contradiction from many studies. So although there are many studies of this thing, there are blank of these things. So there's probably a lack of these studies. You probably don't have a lot of them because you're clearly contradicting the previous part of the sentence. So you say many studies, and then you have the although before it. So therefore, you're going to have a word that means a lack of studies or not enough. You have a lower amount of studies, something like that. So my prediction is going to be a lack of something, just a lack of. I don't even know what a word could do to show that, but we shall see. The options are here. All right, so the options are quarrel, paucity, profusion, verisimilitude. So profusion kind of falls under that proficiency thing we did a little bit, but profusion is like positive or an increase or like something positive. That's what I think of. Profusion, specifically, when I think of like fusion, I think of infusion. Like if you're infusing something, you're like adding it. So if you have a profusion of something, you have a lot or of something or like an increase or a supplement of something. So this is the opposite of what you're looking for. So let's not see. A quarrel about. This is actually a pretty common word, quarrel. If you quarrel with someone, you're arguing. So it's not A. B or D. I have no idea what these words even mean. I mean, like, what do they even mean? Let's try and break them down, though. Paucity of. I mean, lack of is my prediction. It says of. So I think maybe B. But let's look at D, right? Verisimilitude, if that's how you pronounce it. I think of like verify because it has the same root there, right? So verify is something to do with like being authentic, sort of. So I would assume that verisimilitude has something to do with being authentic, I would say, because you have the same root there, vera. Like this is going to be what that means. So you see what I just did? I took a common word that has the same root, and I basically applied the meaning of that word to this word because they share the same thing. So they're probably going to mean the same category of words. So I can probably assume this is going to be verified because I don't know the actual meaning of this. So it's probably not this. It's going to be B, I assume, because one, it matches that like word there. It matches of. And second, it's not D because I just broke it down by root. I related it to another word that I did know. So therefore, it is B. I don't even know what paucity of means, but I assume if I look it up, it means a lack of something. So that's about it. So you see what I just did there? I didn't even know what B and D meant, but I still got it right because I related the words to other words I knew. Now, this won't work every single time. You're going to have to use all of your strategies together. So let's go into some other strategies that you need to know for vocab, and you're going to use all of these together to be much, much stronger at vocab. This takes us to our next section, which this section is maybe one of the biggest mistakes I see students make, and I've seen this in hundreds and hundreds of students. So you need to understand confirmation bias. If you've taken AP Psych, you understand what this is. Now, as a human, right, this is going to get very deep and intellectual, right? As a human, you have naturally confirmation bias. This means you can convince yourself that something is good for you almost every time. You're basically wired to be able to kind of justify something to yourself. So for example, if you have a gambling addiction and you're sports betting, obviously you're bound to lose in the long run. It's just the math, right? But you could probably convince yourself that gambling is actually good for you because you're biased. You have confirmation bias. You can convince yourself why this thing might be good, even though in reality it's terrible for you, right? So why don't we fix this bias by doing the opposite? But how do we do this? If you are down to multiple options, instead of trying to prove why a word could fit in the blank, you want to prove why it couldn't. So you want to disprove the options. Now, you're going to eventually get to a word that you cannot disprove. This is going to be the strongest word naturally. So you cannot find a single explanation as to why this word is incorrect. Therefore, it's going to be right. Now, if you did the flip side and you try to justify each word to yourself, you could probably think of a way for each unique word why it could be correct. Now, this is bad because obviously you're wired as a human to justify it badly to yourself, right? So do the opposite. That's it. That's my little rant there. Do not be biased. Make sure you disprove the answers rather than justify them. This is another massive, massive mistake I have seen from tutoring hundreds of students. And this is, if you know a word, you select it. This is a terrible, terrible word of advice. If you know a word, it does not mean it's any more likely to be correct. So just because you know a word does not mean you should choose it if you're stuck between two words. In fact, you probably should be more likely to choose the word you don't know. Because if you do know the word and you did wrap the text properly, then obviously the word is going to fit in the blank. It's going to snap into place if it's actually correct. So if you know the word and you wrapped it properly and you are looking at the option you know, it should snap into place if it's good. Now, if you're kind of iffy on this word and you're like, oh, I don't know if it fits. I know the definition of it, but I don't know if it fits. You should cross it out because it's just going to snap into place and work immediately if you actually know the word and you know the word that needs to go in the blank. So just because you know a word on the SAT does not mean you should choose it. It is not more likely to be correct. They are all 25% chance out of the 4 options. Now, you need to use this to your advantage. Let's say you have 2 words you know and 2 you don't. You need to analyze the 2 words you know after you make your prediction. So you make a prediction of the blank. This is what causes everything. You need to understand this first step of the process or you are cooked on vocab, okay? You need to predict the word. Once you do it, you analyze the 2 words you know. If they don't fit, you cross them out. If you're iffy on them, you cross them out. And then you look at the 2 you don't know. And you try and use your context clues. You try and use your prefixes, suffixes. You try and relate it to other words you know. If you can't, you guess between those 2. And guess what? You have a very high chance of getting it right because you have a 75% chance of getting it right. You know it's not those 2 that you know, and you guess between the other 2. So that's about it. That's my little rant. Just because you know a word does not mean you should necessarily select it. Please keep this in mind. Don't just choose the word you know. In fact, maybe guess on the words you don't know because the word you know doesn't really fit that well. That takes me to step 4. This is context clues. A couple I included here. Positive or negative roots. I kind of touched on this earlier, but if you have something to do with like pro, then this is going to be a positive word. You can purely get the answer correct if you know the root of this word. Pro, it's like, okay, proficiency, this is probably something to do with positive or going up or something to do with that. So you can use this to get the answer right pretty much. It's very, very helpful in some cases. Some other roots are like un or nots. These are the other important roots you can know, prefixes, whatever. So you can do that. Just positive or negative connotation. This is pretty important. Now that takes me to prefixes. A lot of people think you need to memorize a whole list of prefixes. I don't think you do because a lot of them are really, really niche and they don't really apply to all of the questions. I would only memorize the prefixes that mean not or like positive, like pro, etc. So those are the only ones you have to know. Don't memorize the other ones. It's a waste of time. that's my rant. Let's move on. That takes me to step 5. How do I actually study vocab? This is probably the biggest question I get, at least in the last few days. How do I study vocab? So, contrary to popular belief, you should not be memorizing thousands of words. Now, this is for 2 reasons. 1, it's extremely hard to memorize 1,000 words. I cannot do that. I can't do that. So, you should not do it either, right? Do not memorize 1,000 words. You can memorize like 100. I'm going to actually attach a list of questions that are very, very frequently occurring in the comments below, in the pinned comment. But you don't want to memorize any more than maybe 100, like max. So you should not practice memorization, especially with 1,000 words. What you should practice is prediction drills and also guessing what the word means with context. So do not just memorize words because 1, it's hard to train, and 2, even if you memorize 1,000 words, the SAT can pick from the whole Merriam-Webster dictionary. That's like thousands and tens of thousands of words. Do not memorize words. They can always pull some random word out of their bag that you didn't study for. Memorization is a terrible way to study vocab, unless it's like the past SATs that showed up words-wise. Anyway, train for vocab with prediction drills. This is training your reading comprehension. This is the most important step of the process. If you can't do the rap step, you are cooked on vocab. Second, this is training how to guess the word based off of everything, based off of context clues, based off of elimination, based off of roots, suffixes, prefixes. You need to get into a flow of being able to guess the word with all of those pieces of info. They work together, and you can cross out words with all of that information and connotation and whatever, all that stuff. So that's kind of the gist here. And if you want a resource to practice this prediction drill and kind of the guessing what the word means thing, I'm going to attach a Quizlet link below. It's free. And pretty much I'll walk you through it real quick. So I made this list of vocab words in Quizlet, and it's about 600 of the most recurring SAT words. Just go to learn mode, and you can practice guessing the word here. So it'll give you the definition, and you can click the word that means whatever it does. So something that completes or enhances, definitely 2. A complement 2 is just like complimentary, so it's just going to be 2. Easy peasy. A required condition for, I mean, it says 4 at the end, and this does 2, so it's probably number 2, but let's look at the other ones. Intimation, probably not that. Meticulous, probably not that. Meticulous means like being very like specific and dialed pretty much, so it's not that. It's probably just 2, just because it matches the same structure. And a stipulation is like a part of a contract, I'm thinking, that is like required, so it's going to be 2 probably. A substitute for, I mean, same thing here, you have 4. To humiliate or degrade. Ooh, what even does this mean? Probably a base. Okay, got that. That would have been embarrassing. To reduce or lessen. Ooh, this is gonna be hard. I'd probably say abate. Ooh, okay. By the way, it's ab, right? Ab is like is a root that is very common. You can, or prefix. You can learn that. Anyway, so this is the learn mode. Now make sure you don't get here because it's gonna charge you. Like if you go here, it's gonna charge you subscription. So once you get to like 7 words, I'm pretty sure, go to the settings button and then go to view all options and then restart learn. It's gonna give you this little dialog box, but just restart it. Anyway, that's about it. Now, if you want extra stuff, in the blueprint I have these drills for vocab that are pretty cool. It's 1,200 words of the most common words, and you can basically bookmark them and make them into flashcards, so it's pretty cool. And I'm going to add more as time goes on. Anyway, that's enough. That's how you can practice for vocab. That's a few resources, couple free ones. You can join the blueprint as well if you would like. You can check it out. But let's go ahead and wrap up here. So just to recap, vocab is not a specific process. It's not just memorization. It is taking all these 5 things and combining them into one. If you learn all of these processes and combine them into one strategy, you can be very, very strong at vocab. Maybe you get 1 wrong. That's it. If you can do these properly, you will get maybe 1 wrong in the test just by being unlucky, right? Just how it goes. So if you can get these down, you are completely fine. Check out the list I will put in the comments. Check out the blueprint. We are crushing it in there. We have 250 people now, realistic practice tests, courses, all that stuff. But hopefully this helped. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I hope you have a good day and subscribe.